And here we are. It is time, once again, for another stream of streamness. No, don't do that. Thank you. Okay. Well. Don't know if anybody's here watching. Might have to go around a bit. See what I can do about that. As people can probably see. No, don't do that. Thank you. Okay. Feels like there's a lot of problems going on. But we're here. We're here now. We're doing great. It's all in the service of Loki. I'm sure he'd be happy about that. This is our Loki minifigure drawing stream, entitled Loki's Glorious Purpose. Because, as you can probably see, I will be drawing Loki. This Loki, specifically. As you can see. This one. This is Loki. He is the god of mischief, if you didn't know that. He's got some issues, but we all love him for it, so I don't think anybody really minds. Loki, the TV show, just started on Wednesday, and I enjoyed it. It's very, very much a trippy time travel show that I feel like I can get into very easily because I love trippy time travel stuff. Been a huge fan of Doctor Who for a while. Haven't watched it in a long time, but that's neither here nor there. This fills that slot. Loki is the Marvel Doctor Who. This is accurate. And somebody asked, Lego Maniac asked, how's your break going? My break's... it's going fine. I'm enjoying not having to deal with Instagram and Discord for a while. For those who don't know, I've been sort of on a sabbatical from social media. This is my first time stepping out into the public in a while. I've been a hermit like Luke Skywalker. Anyway, this is what I'll be drawing today. Loki, in his prisoner outfit that he spent most of the episode in. Don't know why I should deliberate any longer. As you can see, this base figure is just like a regular figure, but the key things I needed was the hair. Loki's hair looks kind of odd. It's like a weird mullet in this show. He has his space collar for Space Jail, the TVA. And he has a Tesseract. Because he has that for most of the episode. How is the new job going? It's not really new. Been working at my current job for about 7 weeks now. It's been fine. It's a job. Now, this is my first time like actually scheduling a stream. I don't know if that worked really or not. I think it did. It helps me make sure the computer is claimed before my myriad younger siblings claim it. Gives me an excuse. So, just to fill some time, I will give my thoughts on Loki. for the moment. I already said it feels like a fun, trippy time travel show, but I think this is it's a really fun way to dig into the character of Loki and show how this version is not the same Loki we knew, but it's equal parts an incredibly different Loki, and still like the Loki we recognize from like the end of Ragnarok and Infinity War. Like, you can tell he's battling his dark and light ambitions, trying to prove that he is the horrible god of mischief who cares little for anyone around him. But you can tell that there's still good deep inside of him, trying to fight all of the bad going on. Now he's really just someone acting out in the service of gaining attention, proving to himself that he is worthy in a funny way. That's the idea behind most Thor stories, just the idea of worthiness. And yes, spoilers are allowed. I'd like to keep discussion going. You can't really do that if you're constantly beating around the bush. Which Loki is this? This is variant number 1, or at least the Loki that we saw picked up in the TVA prison outfit. I have already drawn President Loki, that we saw a lot in the trailers. He was in my Disney Plus series. So this is my, I think, 3rd time drawing Loki. Because I drew Loki. I drew Loki for the classic Marvel series 2 years ago now. Then I drew President Loki, and now this one. Loki watching the clips of his future was my favorite scene. Because that's when it really showed that he's the same but different. I think it'll have a very profound effect on him, not so much in the speed running of character development, as you put it, even though that is hilarious. I think it will affect him in the way that he wants to set himself apart. Because I feel like Loki is the kind of character that, even though he sees what he becomes, he will never want to repeat the same thing twice. And so he'll be doing everything he can to avoid the future set out for him by his own future. So once he gets out of the TVA, and probably episode 2 when he goes on his first mission, and he's I doubt that he's going to stay around for long. Will do his best to change the future. Like, save his mother from dying. Maybe even affect Thor somehow. I doubt that Chris Hemsworth is going to show up in this show. But he might. It's not impossible. Come on. Why is it that the curved lines always take so long? I didn't exactly know who I was going to do for the stream today. I considered doing some more Nintendo. I considered something Doctor Who related because I've enjoyed like redrawing a lot of those figures lately. And I considered making it Zelda based because again, I'm getting really into Zelda again. But with Breath of the Wild 2 hopefully around the corner. But once I watched Loki, I knew it was pretty much a shoo-in. I didn't watch it on Wednesday when it first came out because I was at Bible camp as a counselor. So I watched it yesterday for the first time. It was great. Watched the first episode of Loki and the new episode of The Bad Batch back to back. Curve snapping tool. I don't think I've ever figured out how to use that. There's so many tools in Fire Alpaca that I just like. I've been using it for like 4 years now. There's so many tools that I've just never bothered to learn, and I should, because it's dumb that I haven't. But oh well. Live and learn. I am drawing Loki, yes. Thanks to the title, Loki's Glorious Purpose. That was something I really liked at the very beginning of the episode when, as soon as Loki is shot out of the portal and like is with this new batch of pitiful humans, he immediately goes straight into his glorious purpose spiel as if that's what he's practiced for, like, whenever he's in that situation. Makes me really curious to think, like, how many times he's used it before Avengers. And it really makes me remember how far we've come from Avengers, because Loki, as entertaining as he was in that movie, he was pretty much just like as mustache twirly as you could get, even though he doesn't have a mustache. He was just the evil villain for the sake of being evil, and that worked for the story of Avengers because they needed just an evil character for the sake of being evil for that movie, so that you could like feel the palpable threat that the Avengers had to come together to stop. But now Loki is one of the most three-dimensional characters in the entire Marvel universe. It's been cool seeing him grow and evolve like that. And they pointed it out very clearly in the show. I think a lot of us forget that, like he did in Germany, just grab a guy, carve his face open with his face carving tool, and for no real reason other than to like get his eye. Could have just ripped it out. I don't know. Nick Fury and him could have been eye buddies. No eye buddies. I was gonna make a glorious porpoise into Lego. Yes, the glorious porpoise. We're not going to see Throg. We're going to see a dolphin version of Loki. That's the big twist. Dolphin Loki is he's the variant that is going around terrorizing everyone, because he is the glorious porpoise. I'm a little bit sad that the timeline where Cap knows about Bucky and Hydra thinks he is in on their operation is now erased from existence. That's true. Yeah. There is a lot that you could do with that timeline. But it also makes me wonder, like, what they mean by it was, like, meant to be. Because that's very interesting to me, and I want to know more about, like, how that goes. Was it meant to be as in, like, for the greater good of the universe? Like, was the TVA affected by Thanos' snap? Were they part of, like, were they part of the blipped people? Or were they outside of that effect, but they still saw what happened with the universe and knew that it needed to be fixed? I hope they delve into that and explain more about, like, how much of the TVA is affected by the outside world and how much of it is completely separate. Ragnarok in general is amazing. I wholeheartedly agree. It is one of my favorite MCU movies. For so many different reasons. Like, Chris Hemsworth is at the top of his game in Ragnarok. Not just because it's haha funny Thor, but, like, it leads perfectly into... His arc in Ragnarok leads perfectly into both Infinity War and Endgame. Because he is struggling so hard with... You don't see it, but he's struggling so hard with, like, his right to rule and whether or not he feels like he's, well, worthy enough to be the successor of his father. Especially when he sees Hela burst out of the portal and destroy Mjolnir in a cinch. And Loki too. Their arcs, like, complement each other because Loki is finally to the point where he realizes that he can't be Odin, literally. And they finally have to work together to beat both Asgard's past coming back to bite them and forging a new future, even though that is incredibly short-lived. How difficult is it to create those hair pieces for those characters? It is remarkably difficult sometimes and remarkably easy other times. The real trick is in getting, like, the right shaping so it still feels like a Lego piece. While making it look distinct enough. It's always handy, as you can see here, to have, like, a base component that you can work off of. In this case, thanks to Mecha Bricks being awesome, this is like a combined piece of the 12th Doctor's hair and Doc Brown's hair, which, again, feels really appropriate as this is the time travel show. And so using the hair of two time travelers is very fitting. I'm still a little sad Endgame and Infinity War did kind of undo all the progress of Thor in Ragnarok. He doesn't want to rule New Asgard, he has an eye. Loki's back to Avengers Loki, and Thor has an axe. I agree with you when it comes to... I agree with you when it comes to, like, Loki has Avengers Loki and Thor has an eye. The eye thing was dumb. I think he's fine like, he looked so much cooler with just an eye patch. And though I'm not so sure about the whole he doesn't want to rule New Asgard anymore. Because you can see that by the end of Ragnarok, he still doesn't want to rule, really. But he's only doing it because there's no way in heck Hela could. Because, like, I think he says, like, his exact quote is, what is it? Let me Google that really quick. Do. Come on. Why is this not working? Come on, give me the quote. There. I understand why you're angry. And you are my sister, and technically have a claim to the throne. And believe me, I would love for someone else to rule, but it can't be you. You're just the worst. Because just by that quote, you see that Thor still doesn't want to rule, but he's doing it out of necessity. And then in Infinity War and then Endgame, finally, Thor is just broken down to the point that he simply can't be the ruler anymore, and he accepts that, and that's why he hands it off to Valkyrie. I'm not sure Valkyrie is the best choice, because, like, we've seen so little of her. I'm sure we'll see more of King Valkyrie in Love and Thunder. But I didn't think that part undid Ragnarok completely. In Ragnarok he takes on the role he doesn't want because he doesn't see anybody else who can take it. Yeah, and then in game he finally realized that Valkyrie can rule. Precisely. I really love Fat Thor. Like, just in his characterization, I just thought it was perfect. I didn't like it at first, but then after I saw the movie again, I realized that it was actually really smart, and it was really perfect for the specific movie it was in. I'm glad he's going back to, like, regular muscle Thor in Love and Thunder. But I'm super happy with what we got in Endgame. And I see the irony in that we are spending more time talking about Thor than Loki. I think that is humorous. Okay, is that the outline done? It is. And I think that hairpiece looks pretty good. You could have a little touch-ups like right in this area. Maybe just go straight into there. Okay, black stripe, no. I also see the complaint that it was played more for a joke than it was for, like, actually as his grief, but I disagree. How do I put this? Like, Thor himself wasn't all there. And he himself treated it as a joke for the most part, because that's who Ragnarok Thor was. Anytime he got hurt or like or beaten to the point of like brutality, he still made jokes about it. Like when he was beaten by the Hulk, he was still laughing about it later. And like when Loki is captured and they're talking about him and how he talks about how Loki tried to stab and kill him, Thor just plays it off as a joke because he doesn't really care. And that's carried over into Endgame, because he's not willing to let himself react is the thing. He wants to stay in this aloof state because he doesn't want to think about Thanos and making himself feel responsible for the death of the universe. And at the beginning of the movie, he's even making a joke as soon as he kills Thanos. A joke that nobody else understands, but as soon as he cuts his head off, they're horrified, and all he says is, "I went for the head." As like a dark joke with himself. So it's not that he himself didn't take it seriously, and that was in character. And it was completely fulfilled when he went to talk with his mother, and his mother just tells him flat out that you were allowed to make mistakes. You don't have to bottle it up as much as you think you have to. You can face yourself and realize that you aren't infallible. You aren't perfect. You're not supposed to be perfect. And sometimes we make mistakes, and it's what we do after we make the mistakes that make us who we are. And that is why I loved it so much. As for the other Avengers, their treatment of him is a bit harder to reconcile. But for one, we have to realize that they were also going through their own trauma at the same time, and they felt like Thor, as a god, probably could take more teasing than anybody else. And then Rhodey, who is weirdly like the meanest. I think it was because like he was, as the army veteran of the group, he knows that it's important to put emotions aside and get back on the fight, no matter how you feel. Because remember, Rhodey was the one who was effectively paralyzed after Civil War, and so he probably had his own experiences with depression throughout that as well. I wish there was more between Hulk and Thor, because like Hulk mentioned, Thor helped Banner when he was in a hard place. It would have been perfect if Hulk paid it off and helped Thor. Yeah, I agree. Banner going to see the Ancient One makes a lot of sense. And it was good, but I almost think it would have been better if he went with Thor to Asgard instead of Rocket. Just because they have that connection that was done so well in Ragnarok. So, how did I draw Loki's face for President Loki? Let us see now. Shall we? And how much of it can I steal from this figure? Okay. So, these are the eyes. It's the great thing about being an artist, kids. You can plagiarize yourself and nobody cares. Though these eyebrows are certainly more manic than they should be. Now this is like dangerous Loki face. I really like that nobody takes Loki seriously in the TVA. That feels really funny. And I feel like a lot of it is going to be Loki showing the TVA why they shouldn't underestimate him. Because there is a tendency in shows like this to make the main characters fools, even if they probably shouldn't be. Because Loki is still a god. Even though, pretty sure God doesn't dress like that, man. Wherever that quote goes. Such a funny quote that nobody talks about. Avengers 1 Cap was great. Really like the background music you have going on. Thank you. It is actually Loki theme music 1 hour official. Probably shouldn't admit that out loud or I might get copyright strucken. Wow. Okay. That doesn't look much like Loki, now does it? That's better. If you guys have anything to add about like the points I've been making when it comes to my character arcs and stuff, please feel free. I love the discussion aspect of doing streams like this, because I just like talking and relating with people, especially when it comes to stories and that everybody loves. Tom Hiddleston has such defined cheekbones. do you think you're going to like Loki more than WandaVision? That's tough to say. I've still gone I've gone on record saying how much I just absolutely adore WandaVision. I thought it was a near perfect show. I know that's not the most popular opinion because it seems like a lot of people dropped off after the finale, and yeah, it has its issues, but it's such a good show that used the character of Scarlet Witch so well. Why did I do that? He has a little mole right there. But if Loki keeps up this this level of quality, I think that it does have a chance to beat out WandaVision. I already like it more than Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which might seem odd. And like, that show's good, don't get me wrong, but just it never really grabbed me like WandaVision did. Even though I do think that the character arcs of like Sam and John were done very well. I'm just a fan of Marvel Disney Plus at the moment. Like, I feel like they've done great. Nothing's been bad, in my opinion. And sure, I might not like something as much as I like something else, but that doesn't make it horrible. I really hope that Wanda isn't searching for her kids, because that would defeat her entire arc. Really? Please elaborate. I want to know, like, please explain more. Because I don't think it does, but I'd like to hear what you think first, and then I'll get my thoughts. Hello. Hello, Nico Lego, yes. Good to see you too. Ah, dadgummit. Buttons are hard. Or I might just be bad at buttons. That's probably it. I'm bad at technology. Okay. In my opinion, Wanda has lost so much that her looking through the multiverse is not only justified, but totally consistent with her character. I'm inclined to agree. I don't think it's so much searching in the case of something like Vision, where she's trying to like remake everything just because of her grief. I think it's more just that she knows that her kids are out there, and she can't let them die. She can't let them just disappear. She has to know that there is a chance to save them. Because by the end of the show, Wanda still... No matter what Monica says, I don't think that Wanda is a hero. Even if they'll never know what you sacrificed, kind of thing. And that's what makes Wanda so interesting to me. She is, at the end of the show, she is certainly not a hero. And so she's still fighting the impulses that she had beforehand. They're not totally gone. She's just realized that her own grief shouldn't affect others, because that's just unfair. And she can let go of Vision, but she can't let go of something that she never had. And the boys are technically something she never had the chance to really be with. So this is her chance to find something she can claim as her own, regardless of, well, separate from holding an entire town hostage, because that's no bueno. We already got a Chad what in Homecoming. Oh, speaking of Homecoming, this is a weird theory that I saw on Instagram once, but I like fell in love with it immediately. So like in Homecoming, you have the PSAs with Cap, which are hilarious, and I love them a lot, but they don't fit with the character of, like, Captain America, because they're noticeably tongue-in-cheek. Like, you can tell that Steve doesn't really take seriously what he's saying, and it's just kind of there. But I found a theory that wasn't Steve. That was Loki pretending to be Steve, just to mess with the reputation of Steve Rogers. And I think that theory is absolutely astounding, and I hope it becomes canon. Okay. Now the collar. So you gotta do this because this is curved, and that makes it hard. Come on. Anything curved. So difficult. Then there's the little blinky dot. And then the danger logo. Love that I'm already almost done. Thank goodness for simple costumes. Okay. Is Loki part of the What If series? I think there is going to be. I think Tom Hiddleston is going to be in What If, in some capacity. Like probably in the Thor episode. So this is my theory on Phase 4, and if this is what is happening, I think it's genius. So it's like this story is like WandaVision teases the multiverse. Loki introduces the multiverse with all of the Loki variants we're gonna get. What If is like shows what the multiverse can be. No Way Home is going to show the dangers of the multiverse, and Doctor Strange is going to conclude the multiverse saga. I think that's what's going on. And if so, I think that's a really cool through line of Phase 4. Admittedly, I don't know if that's the case, because then, like, how do you fit in something like Black Widow or Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Shang-Chi, since they obviously, to our knowledge at least, don't contain anything multiverse related. And like, especially Eternals, I have no clue how Eternals fits in. But as for like those, I think that's a pretty good guess as to how these stories are being told, and like the specific order that they're in. Hopefully that makes sense. I feel like that'll be too short for something as big as the multiverse. I kind of doubt it. Like, I kind of disagree, because that is very, like, clearly at least counting's hard. That's at least 5 projects, all delving into this idea of the multiverse and like how it affects the universe. And I'm sure it's not going to end with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but I think that's where it's going to, like, this specific piece of the multiverse story is going to end. Because then we'll have a knowledge of how it works, why it works, where it came from, and how to interact with it. I think that's really all you need for a story like that. Have you seen the TV show Doom Patrol? I have not seen Doom Patrol. I've heard it's good, but I don't have a DC Universe subscription, and I don't really plan on getting one. So I just haven't really had the chance to watch it. It also doesn't sound like it's a show for me. I'm not really a fan of like adult shows like that. There we go. Is it a better color? Call me old-fashioned, but they're just, those kinds of shows just aren't for me. Just jumping in, so I don't know if it was brought up yet, but do you think the first multiversal war was something like Secret War, and Secret Invasion will be the next multiverse war? That's an idea. I don't know if it was Secret War specifically, but I could easily see it being like the precursor to the Secret War, like Secret Wars 1 and then Secret World War 2. To show why, like why the multiverse is dangerous and why it shouldn't be lightly used. Something like that. And then you'll have a baseline for like why it's dangerous. Have I seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I did. I have. I've seen it up until season 5, I think. And I remember liking what I saw, but I never really hooked me. Like some of like the other Marvel stuff has done. But I'd love to see it, like, some of the concepts at least make a return in the future, especially Ghost Rider. Season 4 was so good. Framework, Ghost Rider, Ida, fantastic. Those are what hooked me. Isn't Secret Wars where Skrulls infiltrate? Secret Wars is not. Secret Wars is where I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, a bunch of the multiverse kind of crashes into one another and like worlds start combining, and that's how we have like Miles Morales in the main continuity now, because I think the Ultimate Universe smashed into 616 and then got destroyed, but then some of them are still there, and that's like why Spider-Gwen is there now too. It's something. Not really 100% sure. I think it would be interesting to culminate the multiverse stuff in Secret Invasion instead of another Avengers movie, especially since a lot of the multiverse stuff started with the shows. I agree. Not... Honestly, I'd be totally fine if Endgame was the last Avengers movie. And so, like, the Avengers as a team still exists, but that's the last Avengers branded movie. Because I felt like it was such a fitting ending. Unfortunately, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was deemed non-canon, thanks to the Darkhold showing up in WandaVision. I know it was, but there's ways to work around that. Like, I even think in the show itself, Coulson says something, or like somebody says something like, the Darkhold can take on different forms. Because why wouldn't it? It's Magic Demon Book. If it had the same form, like all the time, people would know to watch out for it, but then if it can just shapeshift, then people aren't going to be terrified of it. In the way it probably wants, because I'm sure the Darkhold is like partly sentient. Magic relics like that always are. But we'll just have to see. If it is non-canon, I understand why. I'm not the type to... Like, I know that the Disney Plus shows are like a chance to reboot Marvel television. But, Do you think the Thunderbolts or Dark Avengers are more likely at this point in the MCU? At this point in the MCU, I would say the Thunderbolts. Dark Avengers requires, like, loss of faith in the real Avengers. And at this point, even though you have noted Avengers like Scarlet Witch seemingly going off the deep end, the Avengers are still effectively the messiahs that saved the universe from Thanos and like brought back loved ones and so many others, and like so many of them died in selfless ways that I don't think the public is at the point where like they hate the Avengers. So I could see something more like the Thunderbolts, which is like playing... I could see a scenario where they're like playing off of the popularity of the real Avengers and creating their own group and using the notoriety of like superheroes and superhero teams to their advantage to get things done. Like we talked in DMs, I think the one character who's a bit worse than the others is Hulk. Incredible Hulk and even Avengers showed what he can be, and the MCU wastes and butchers it. Kind of upsetting, kind of a bummer. It depends on what you want from Hulk. There is a lot you can do with the Edward Norton style of Hulk that's like more brooding and dark, and some amazing stories have come from it, like Immortal Hulk, evidently. And I think something like Immortal Hulk would work really well with the darker Norton take. I'm not sure how well it would with Ruffalo, But there's still stories you can tell with Ruffalo Hulk that uses the character well, like Ragnarok. I think that's a perfect example of like playing to Ruffalo's strengths and still making Hulk a complex, compelling character. I had an idea for a Hulk solo movie, and I even wrote down a synopsis for it. So if you guys would like to see my pitch for a Hulk solo movie, sort of in like the style of Nandovi movies, please let me know, because I think that could be fun. Like as an idea of what it would be like, it would be more of a it would be like the origin of Professor Hulk, sort of. So if you'd be interested in seeing that, just let me know. Well, seeing the response in chat, that video will be forthcoming. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. Then yeah, movie pitch. I'll do that then. I think that'll be fun. I kind of tried that once with like where my video of like where I think Captain America's story in Avengers Endgame, which was like my second video on the channel or something. It's got like 50 views. It deserves that because it's just edited really badly, but with like what I know now about YouTube and dadgummit, buttons. Be nice to me. I could improve that like style of video much better. So yeah, I will do that. Okay. Let's see. I'm nearing the end of this here. Curved lines are the bane of my existence. As you can probably see with Nintendo and stuff, I have been doing a lot to get more story aspects onto my channel, just because I love telling stories, and I haven't much had the opportunity to tell them on this channel. And now that I feel like I've built up more of an audience from like YouTube and stuff, I have more of a freedom to start doing things like story pitches. And really, if you guys want to see more of my like story pitches for certain things, then I really would love the support, because those kind of things are difficult to make, and when they get like 50 views, it's a little discouraging. So yeah, if you like those kind of things, make sure to let me know, because I like affirmation. Okay. Total reboot or soft reboot for Defenders? That really depends. Because if you reboot one of them, you'd almost have to reboot all of them. But that's really difficult to say because you have, like, you have Daredevil, which pretty much everybody can agree was fantastic. And then you have Iron Fist, which pretty much everyone can agree was fairly mediocre. And like Iron Fist, his lore is so wild that it deserves like a better take on it, other than just like lame rich guy comes back and becomes martial arts Batman with Glowfist. But then if you reboot Iron Fist, you'd almost have to reboot Daredevil, since they both exist in the same area and they've already interacted. It's a weird thing. I'd lean towards soft reboot and like maybe give Iron Fist a different, like change Iron Fist and Luke Cage or Jessica Jones up just enough so that they still fit in with the MCU. And then that would give you the freedom to like leave Daredevil mostly unchanged because like it's fantastic. It's a balancing act. This is the most active my chat has been, so I am having a difficult time keeping up. Okay, so no, I just wanted to say thanks. The Nth Verse inspired me to start my own universe, and so far it's coming along really well. That is fantastic. That is what I wanted to do with the Nth Verse. It's such a fun thing just to tell your own stories with these famous characters. And if it inspires others to do the same, then I feel like my job has been done. Do you think Ned will eventually turn into the Hobgoblin or maybe Multiversal Evil Ned in No Way Home? Multiversal Evil Ned seems the most likely. Like, it is odd that they chose Ned Leeds as he's the Hobgoblin guy, but I really don't see guy in the chair Ned becoming Hobgoblin anytime soon. He's just, like, I don't see why he would become evil. He's not the kind of person like Harry that would become jealous of like Peter's power. Like, he just seems so content to be in the background helping his best friend fight crime. I'm not sure. Is there anyone in the world, not an artist, that you look up to? I personally look up to Dirk Nokowitz. Well, I think it's important in the real world to know that, like, everybody is a person and people are fallible. And that's just something to always keep in mind with the world. And so it's difficult to say, like, if I have any role models in, like, Hollywood or things like that, because Hollywood is, whew, it's Hollywood. That being said, I'm really not sure. There are stars that I can appreciate as, like, artists and, like, athletes that I can appreciate for their skills, but then, like, I don't agree with their personal lives at all. So I'm really not sure. That's a tough question to answer. Yeah, I hate when the videos I get so much effort to barely get any views. It's discouraging. It's kind of what happens when you put things out. Like, I'm aware that what gets the most views is the minifigure stuff. That's just what my channel is. That's what it's known for. I've tried to break out of it a lot. I don't want to just be a minifigure channel. And if I can develop an audience for story content and not just minifigures, then I'll be happy. Love to see your own stories. That would be amazing. That would be my most enjoyable stuff from your stuff. I love having stories based off different characters. Thank you. That really encourages me. Wait, no, I thought you said you'd never seen any of the R-rated superhero things. This is true. I have seen Daredevil, though. I forgot to mention that when I said I haven't seen much R-rated superhero things, just because Daredevil is like a TV show. But I haven't seen all of Daredevil, but I've seen a lot of it, and I love it. If you enjoyed the first episode of Loki, I would recommend Zodiac, directed by David Fincher. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal and RDJ, and Mark Ruffalo. Cool beans. Okay, I think this is done. This is TVA Loki. There's not much. Well, oh, I remember what I was gonna do. Take this opportunity to share how I do something like the flip faces. Just because I really liked the scene where Loki like sees his future and just starts crying. So I thought that was a very, honestly, pretty beautiful scene. Tom Hiddleston is really good. And obviously people know that. So, yes, Maniac. That was a little, I guess, that was a fib on my part. I have not seen any R-rated superhero movies. I'll amend that. And Daredevil is the only, technically, MA thing that I have seen. Spider-Man Lotus. I've looked into it by Gavin people. I think it looks really promising. Like it's interesting that like they seem to be doing so much with this idea of like the Spider-Man series and taking it into their own hands, and I can respect that a lot. I don't know. I'm trepidatious about like the quality, because I don't know how big of a budget he would have per se. But if the story's good, then not sure that matters the most. Making flip faces usually is really simple, because it really just takes like drawing one face and then copying the base elements of it, and then just changing the expression a bit. Like with this mouth here, I'll keep the same like general shape, but turn it around a bit, because like seeing him like, cry tears of joy when he sees that he and Thor reconcile that's what got me. Because I know how difficult it can be to have brothers. Like I haven't tried to kill any of my brothers, so I can't exactly relate to that part, but it's still difficult. And any Loki and Thor's brotherly reunions, come on. That's the best part of Ragnarok in my mind. Do I own the Daily Bugle? I do not. Like, I think it looks cool, but I'm not sure I want it. I have to be very selective with, like, any big Lego sets I get. Mostly because at the moment I'm, like, saving for college and things like that. And the Daily Bugle, just, like, as a set, it's really cool. But it does just kind of look like gray building with super cool minifigures. If I were to get, like, a huge Lego set before college, it would be something like Ninjago City, or any of those Ninjago things, because they look amazing, just as display pieces. And they're the kind of things that I would, like, not even just for the characters, but I would love to have for the display factor. Yeah, I don't like the dots. If you had the opportunity to look at your life like Loki did, would you? It would be sorely tempting not to. Because there's a lot of things that have happened in my life that I'd love to revisit from, like, a omnipotent perspective and think about. Because life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And if you're able to know what you're going to get, how does that affect life? I think it almost takes away part of the meaning, like one of the meaning of, like part of the meaning of life is just going through it day by day and having the strength to take it on. Personally, I do it with God's strength, helping push me along. Knowing just how to take the days as it comes, good or bad, because I know they've all been created, but it's part of the human experience. So I'm not sure. So here's Loki. Prisoner Loki. I think he looks pretty great. Like, oh, yeah, forgot about that. Oh, that looks terrifying. Dang it. Did that wrong. Now, cut. Get away from here. There. Now we got it. Okay. Okay. And now, just for funsies, try to do a quick Miss Minutes. See how fast I can do this. Miss Minutes speedrun because she's a clock. Get it? So let's see. Go away, Loki. Nobody wants you right now. Here we go. Well, that was far too big. How are your figures so good? Practice. That's honestly, that's the key. I've been doing this for 3 years now. Honestly, if I wasn't good by now, something would be wrong. So just allow yourself to have practice. Don't expect yourself to be good immediately and grow from any be able to take tips, tricks, and learn on the way. What is that body piece? Or is it new? It is new. This is literally just a flat round tile that I put on top of minion legs and like these stone arm buddy things. So technically, this is illegal. Who cares? Do you think we'll get any more Miss Minutes exposition dumps? Could get old, but it's a really good way of explaining something as complex as the multiverse to people. I'm not sure if we're gonna get exposition dumps exactly like that, but I could see Miss Minutes as being like the annoying Tinkerbell side character. Kind of just shows up every now and again to pester Loki. Because Miss Minutes has got to be sentient too. Miss Minutes is Mephisto. You can see there's 2 M's in the name Miss Minutes. And we all know that Mephisto starts with M. That was atrocious. The goal I set for myself is to do 1 CMF draft every month so I can get better. That is quite a goal. I wish you luck in it. I will say, be aware of, I'd suggest spacing it out with drawing other stuff, because if you do only draw 1 CMF, a CMF every month, then there's a very likely chance that you will get burnt out on just drawing Lego people over and over. So make sure that you, if you are set on keeping this goal, make sure that you also add enough variety so you don't just kill your satisfaction completely when it comes to drawing these. Because it is fun, but it's also very repetitive. You're drawing a lot of the same things over and over again. And it's the key to seeing how you can improve, sure, but if you're not careful, you might end up making yourself hate it, which is something I've done before. Is this the first time Tara Strong is in the MCU? Probably. It was really funny listening to her voice, and I was like, wow, that's Twilight Sparkle. Twilight Sparkle is in the MCU. Mobius is Mephisto. He has 3 M's. Oh, you're right. That is just full on true. You think Lego will ever make lightsaber hilts? I don't know. There's something really special about the old pieces, and I don't want them to get rid of all of the old pieces. And there's always the chance that making incredibly detailed pieces like that will sort of remove the Lego-ness, because while I've seen them a lot in the custom piece community, while they look cool, they also don't really look like Lego to me. And it's always important when making new Lego pieces to make sure they still look like Lego. That's also a balancing act. So far I've done 5 CMFs, and usually when I get burnt out, I try to work on another figure for a different theme. That's a good tip. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's a way to do it, but like again, that's still just drawing a Lego. So I would suggest finding like something else creative to do to space it out. Just because I don't want people to like lose their passion for doing this, because this is a really fun, really niche thing that not many people do, so it's fun to just see people grow and evolve throughout it. You don't want to lose that passion either. Oh, I would just like to say, I love Mobius. He was absolutely my favorite character from the first episode. I really like how the TVA is definitely evil. I don't think anybody... Or maybe not evil, but they've definitely got their own mysterious agendas. But I think Mobius is someone actually trying to do good in this circus, and he's not just a clown playing his part to perfection. Or Mobius is the villain of everything, and it's completely wrong. But yeah, Owen Wilson being my favorite character in an MCU project. Not what I expected. So there's the body from Miss Minutes. Let's see. Circle time. Actually, I'm gonna go dark brown, because I think that sells it better. +100 figures just from Spider-Man lore. I don't know, I don't think there's a reason for me to make figures from Marvel shows or stuff like that, because there's a lot already that are better than what I'd ever do. Like yours, Tops, and Ari's. I don't think that should stop anybody from trying, though. Like, saying that there's already a version that's much better than anything I could do, so I'm just not gonna try to do it. Like, I know that's not what you mean, but I think that's a mentality that you can break out of. Like, I don't see it as somebody's done it better than me. I see it as a chance for me to, well, do better than them. I'm trying to think. Like with Ash and Flash, for instance. I would say, and like this is not me patting my back or anything, but I would say I was the first person after Ash to really try and take on the whole CMF thing on YouTube. And I think that's just true. Not really just me being false or anything. And if anybody feels like they have to contradict that, like, go for it. I don't want to sound like I'm full of myself. But because I was the second, that meant that Ash was the one who had created this art form, technically created, like, this weird art. Oh, that's fun. And there was nobody else to really bounce work off of, so I was like the runner-up coming up to do something that only one other person before had done, and obviously that one other person was the best. So I don't really know what I was doing, but I was so committed to proving that I could do stuff as well as Ash did. And without that mentality, I don't know if I would have started. Because Ash had already done, like, say, Spider-Verse series, or the Arrowverse series. And then I ended up like doing my own based on the same properties. And were they better? Probably not. But just because Ash had already done his doesn't mean that I was going to let that stop me. And through that, I became like more confident, better at what I did, and I'm not well known on YouTube, but I at least have a CMF draft in Ninjago that has gotten over like 65,000 views, and that's not nothing. So if you think that like just because somebody else did it and did it better than you probably could, don't see that as an excuse for like not to try. If that makes sense. Ash did have a boost because of Justin. But nowadays, Justin's off doing his own weird thing, and Ash has kind of become his own identity on YouTube. So I don't. He got to where he was because of Justin, but he stayed where he is because of himself, I think. And like, honestly, he's a nice guy. I've talked with him a lot over the past few months, and he's pretty cool. I'm almost done with Ms. Minutes here. And my phone's almost dead. Okay, wait. There we go. Exactly what I wanted. All I want to say is do what you love and love what you do. Yep. It's a good motto for life. Sometimes you're going to end up having to do stuff that you don't love, and that's just unavoidable. But if you can, do what you love. And even if you're in a spot where you don't love what you do, find the way to love it. Okay, this nose is in the way. Need to make the eye bigger. Don't know if this is too personal of a question, but what do you plan to do after college? I won't give exactly what I plan to do, but I plan to go into a field sort of connected to like child psychology, but for like pediatric hospitals, and like be a sort of special therapist, because I know how tough being in a hospital is all day, and I want to help kids, pretty much. That's my reasoning. I like kids, and want to help them. I do. I don't feel like I should say exactly which one I plan on going to. But I do have a plan. Okay, last but not least, the eyes. What will happen to the channel when you go to college? That I cannot say. I would love to keep it up as long as I can. Probably when I do head off to college, my best bet, like at the very worst, or like at the very best, uploads will most likely slow down. I don't want them to stop at all. It just kind of depends. Playing it by ear. She's adorable. Do you think Spider-Man 4 would have been good? Vulture with John Malkovich and Black Cat with Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway was supposed to play Black Cat? That's hilarious. Well, it probably would have been good. I mean, with Raimi still telling the story and being in charge of his Spider-Man. Like, would have been amazing seeing Bruce Campbell Mysterio, even if it was for like a one-off joke villain. Yeah, I think it probably would have been good. Like, I've never been that huge of a Raimi Spider-Man fan. Tom Holland is definitely my favorite, but I can appreciate the movies for like what they are and what they represent and their quality. And so yeah, no, her hands are white. I'm intrigued by Miss Minutes because some journalists who've already watched the show would say it's one of the best Loki characters. That is fantastic. Goofy characters like Miss Minutes are some of my favorite parts of comics and TV shows in general and movies. And the more people like not so much rely on them, but like accept them as what they are, then the happier I am. Now I'm gonna try something really fast. It may backfire completely, but we'll see. Come on. Okay. Not a fan. It was worth a shot. May try to mess with that later, because I do think there's some merit there. But let me see. with that, I believe we are done. Loki and Miss Minutes.
Miss Minutes.
In the flesh. That was fun. Come on. Okay. Get centered. Well, there we go. I think that is complete. So yeah, that's my Loki and Miss Minutes characters. If you liked them, please let me know that you did. When my inevitable Disney Plus Series 2 comes out, these characters might be in there. Not really sure what to do now with them. Probably post them on Instagram. I don't know. I mean, I'm still on break from Instagram, so don't exactly know how that would work out. But they're here for some reason. So now that I'm burdened with glorious purpose, I have finished what I came to start and claimed my birthright. Loki's a good show. I'm glad that I was able to do this. And I can't wait to see how it goes in the future, because like this sounds like the show that's going to be right up my alley. So thank you all for coming in today to watch this with me and do this with me. I'll probably try to stream a lot more often now that school is over. And this will be just the start of that. And so, now that it's done, until next time, later.